Welcome to this tutorial highlighting the new STL import functionality available in SpaceClaim 2011. To start with this exercise, we're going to go ahead and open up our STL file. So click on File Open from the Application menu and browse to the directory containing the STL file. We're going to want to filter for STL files from the drop-down, so click on the drop-down and choose STL files to filter only for STL files. This will bring the display of that STL file up. We can go ahead and double click on it to open it. This will open that STL file in our design window, and you can see that as I hover over with my mouse, I'm seeing all of that mesh geometry on the STL file. And I can hover back and forth to see those mesh facets. But if I want to display these permanently, we can do that under the Display tab. Click on the Display tab, click on the Edge Display tool here, and on that drop-down make sure to highlight the or check off the Mesh Display. Now I have all of my meshes displayed, and I can use all of this mesh geometry to recreate the STL part into intelligent SpaceClaim geometry. So I'm going to go back to the Design tab, and first thing I want to do is create a datum plane. To do that I need 3 points, so I'm going to select 1 point, Control select a second point, and Control select a third point on that right hand face. Those 3 points will define a datum plane, and when I click my plane tool, it'll create that datum plane for me. So I actually want a midplane to be able to sketch on for this part, so let's create another plane on the other side. Again, select once, Control select a second and third time to define the 3 points. Click our plane tool from the insert group, and now we have 2 datum planes on either side of this part. To create the midplane, we can define that based off of the 2 planes we created. So I'll select both of those planes, click plane again, and that creates a datum plane directly between those 2. To get rid of the original 2 planes that we used simply for construction, I'll select both of them from my structure tree and click the delete key on my keyboard. Now I just have my one datum plane to be able to sketch on. Let's go back to a home view by clicking home in the Orient group, and we'll go into sketch mode by clicking the sketch tool in the mode group. We'll define our sketch plane by selecting on the plane that we just created, and now we've got our sketch plane defined. Let's go into plan view to be able to look at this heads on. So now I can use all of the sketch tools in the Design tab in SpaceClaim to be able to recreate this geometry. For example, I'll use my rectangle tool, selecting on that, to recreate the base. Click once on the top left corner and a second time on the bottom right corner to create the base of my part. I can create the inner and outer diameter using the 3-point circle tool, clicking once, clicking twice, and clicking a third time to define the inner diameter, and defining the outer diameter again by clicking once, clicking twice, and clicking a third time. Now I have both circles defined, and I want to connect the top circle to the base using a tangent arc, or tangent line. So I'll use the tangent line tool, click once on the outer diameter of the circle at the top. That'll start defining a tangent line coming off of that circle, and when I click again on the top right of that base, now I've got my tangent line sketched there. Do the same thing on the bottom, clicking once on the outer diameter to start that tangent line, and once on the bottom right corner of our base to define the connection. Now as I click my 3D mode tool from the mode group, I return to 3D mode, click home to return to a home view, and you can see the surface that I've created in my structure tree. By default that surface is green, and it'll be a little hard to see that, so let's change the color of that surface. I can select on the surface in my structure tree, go to the Display tab, and from the color drop down, choose red. That'll color this surface red, and we can see that better. Going back to the Design tab using my Pull tool, you can see that pulling on a red surface creates a red solid, so I can really see the difference there. I'm just going to go ahead and hit the Escape key to cancel out of this solid creation. Now I want to pull each individual face separately, so I'm going to query select through at the front of the part to select just the base of the part, click on it, choose the Pull Both Directions tool guide, and that'll allow me to mirror and pull both ways. And now as I pull, you can see that I'm pulling just the base, and I'm pulling it evenly in both directions. Now I want to make use of the original geometry, so I want to pull it right up to the exact width of that base. So I'm going to escape out of this as well, hit the Escape key, and I'm going to use the Up To tool guide over here, selecting on any facet or point on the side to pull up to that specific length. Let's do the same thing 2 more times. So I'll query select through to select the middle plane of that part, and again use the Up To command either from the mini tool guide or from the tool guide on the right, and choose one of the facets on the mid plane. And we create our middle base. Same thing for the top cylindrical face. I'll query select through at the top to make sure I get that O-ring, select on it, and select Up To, and choose one of the facets on that top cylinder. Now I've completely recreated this solid, and I have my solid in my structure tree. I'm going to go back to the home view, choose my Move command, and I now want to separate these two out. So I'm going to choose the Move command, choose the solid from the structure tree, and click and drag along that red arrow to drag it out approximately 100 millimeters to separate these two solids. Now as I rotate this around, you can see that I have both the original mesh geometry and this intelligent SpaceClaim solid that I can now modify. So I've created all of this geometry from the STL geometry. If I wanted to get more precise, I could create the through holes and depressions on all 4 corners of this base, but it's up to you based on the complexity that you need. And now the geometry that I've created is of course intelligent geometry, and I can use my Pull tool or my Move tool to modify that geometry, make any changes that I need to. And if you ever have any additional questions on using STL imported geometry, you can always make use of the help documentation and be able to use the integrated search for a key term like STL, and you'll get articles specifically for working with STL and mesh objects right here in the help documentation. So thank you for watching this tutorial video on STL import in SpaceClaim 2011, and for any additional information please visit spaceclaim.com.